Hi there, this is Mrs Watson from the Halifax Academy, and today I'm reading a book by David Armand. It's called Half a Creature from the Sea, and it's a book of short stories, and this one today is called Harry Miller's Run, and it's set in the northeast, which is where I'm from. I don't want to go to Harry Miller's. It's Saturday morning. My entry for the Junior Great North Run's just come through the post. I'm already wearing the t-shirt. I'm already imagining belting around the quayside and over the bridges in 2 weeks' time. I'm imagining all the kids running, the cheering crowds. I'm dreaming of sprinting to the finish line. I phone Jaxie and we end up yelling and laughing at each other. His stuff's come as well. He's number 2594 and I'm 2593. We can't believe it, but we say it's fate. We've been best mates forever. We say we'll meet up straight away and get some training done in Jesmond Dean. But as soon as I put the phone down, Mum's at my shoulder. Don't go, she says. Eh? Come with me to Harry's. It's his last day in the house. He'll need a friendly face around. But Mum, come on, just an hour or two, just for me. But I haven't got time, Mum. She laughs. You're 11 years old. You've got all the time in the world. So in the end, I sigh, phone Jaxie again and put him off till the afternoon, and I slouched down the street with my mum. Harry's ancient. We've known him forever. He lives at the end of our street, and he was fit as a lop till his heart attack got him. It looked like the end, but he was soon fighting back. A few days in intensive care, a couple of weeks in the Freeman Hospital, and before we knew it, he was back at home in Blenkinsop Street. He started tottering round in his little front garden on his Zimmer frame, tottering past our window to the Elfield Social Club. He stood gasping at street corners, grinning at the neighbours, waving at the kids. When he saw me out training, he'd yell, "Gan on, young'un, keep them pins moving." And I'd always wave and laugh and put a sprint on. "That's right, lad, run, there's a wolf at your tail, run for your life." Everybody knows Harry, everybody loves him. The women in the street take him flasks of tea and sandwiches and plates of dinner. His mates from the club call in with bottles of beer to play cards and dominoes. The district nurse visits him every day and is always laughing when she comes out of his front door. But one day she found him with a massive bruise on his head after he'd had a fall. One day he was out wandering the street in his stripy pyjamas. It couldn't go on. There was nobody at home to look after him. It was time for him to leave the house, get rid of tons of stuff, and moved to St Mary's, the new nursing home just off Baker's Lane. Mum took it on herself to help him clear out. Poor soul, she said. How on earth will he bear up? But Harry didn't seem to find it hard at all. Out went all his stuff to charity shops and fêtes and the town dump. Pots and pans and dishes and chairs, clothes, a radio, an ancient TV. "What are they?" he said. "Naught but things. Hoy a moot." He just laughed about it all. "I'll not need much stuff from the place where I'm gannin', and for the place past that, I'll need naught at all." We walked down the street to Harry's. Mum lets us in with a key. By now, just about everything's gone. The floors are bare. There are no curtains at the windows. He's sitting in the front room in a great big armchair with a box of papers on his lap and the Zimmer frame standing in front of him. There's a little table with boxes of tablets on it. He looks all dreamy, but he manages a grin. "How do, Petal?" he says. "How do, Harry?" Mum bends down and kisses him. She pushes some hair back from his brow. She says, "Has he washed this morning? Has he brushed his teeth? Has he breakfasted? Had he?" "Aye," he says, "aye, hinny, aye." He stares at me like he's staring from a million miles away. "It's the little runner," he says at last. "Aye, Mr Miller." He reaches out and touches the t-shirt. His hand's all frail and trembly. "Great North Run," he says. "Aye, Mr Miller." "I done that." "Did you really, Harry?" says Mum. "And when was that?" He reaches towards me again. "How old are you, son?" 11. "That was when I done it, when I was 11. Mum smiles sadly at me. "Must have been great," she says. "It was bloomin' marvellous, pet." He closes his eyes. Mum lifts the box from his lap. It looks like he might be dropping off to sleep. But he jumps up to his feet and grabs the Zimmer frame. He leans forward like he's ready to run. "It's a final sprint," he says. He giggles and drops back into the chair. "Take no notice, son," he says. "I'm just a daft old mangled gadgie." He looks at the box. Then we'll need to be gone through," he says. "You'll help us, Hinny?" "Course I will," says Mam. He sighs and grins and stares past us like he can see right through the walls. "I can see the sea, mates," he says. "We're nearly there." And he falls asleep and starts to snore. It smells of old bloke in here. Suppose it's bound to. Suppose he can't help it. Suppose I'll smell like an old bloke myself one day. Pee and sweat and ancient clothes and dust. The sun shines through the window, dust glittering and dancing in the shafts of light. Outside there are little trees in Harry's neat garden, the rooftops of the street, Newcastle's towers and spires, then the big blue empty sky. Mam lifts the papers out. She unfolds them from packets and envelopes while Harry snuffles and snores. Here's his birth certificate. "Same address as now," I say. "I lived here all his life." And look, this must be them. It's a small faded black and white photograph. A young couple and a wrapped up baby beaming through the years. Mam holds a photograph close to Harry's face. "Can you see them in him?" she says. And when we look at Harry and think of him and his wide shining eyes, we have to say we can. The baby, the woman and the man are living in the same sleeping bloke. More photographs. A toddler Harry in his fat nappy and his dad in overalls on one side, Mam in a flowery frock on the other. Scruffy boys and girls on benches in an ancient schoolyard. A teacher at the centre with a big hooked nose and a fur wrap around her shoulders. Which one is he? We pick up the same face. The grinning kid just behind the teacher's head. The one lifting his hand like he wants to wave at us from 70 years ago. A final school report from 1942. "Henry is a fine, hard-working lad. We wish him well in his chosen workplace." There's his apprentice papers from the same year, when he started as an apprentice welder at Swan Hunter's shipyard. A photograph of him in a soldier's uniform. National service, says Mam. Harry with girls, one pretty girl, then another, then another. They're on Tynemouth seafront, on Newcastle quayside market, sitting in a Ferris wheel at a fair. There's a folded piece of pink paper with a handwritten note. "Thank you, Harry. Such a lovely day. Until next time, love, thee." "Thee?" I say. Mum shrugs. "Who knows? I heard tell he'd been a ladies' man, often chased but never caught." She holds the photos to his face. "And there's still the handsome lad in 'em," she says. Then there he is in colour, in swimming trunks, with a sombrero on his head. He's linking arms with his mates on a beach in what Mam says must be Spain. "That's Tommy Lind," says Mam, "and Alex Marsh, God rest his soul." There's more and more. Photographs, documents, saving books, rent books, pension books. There's his dad's death certificate in 1954. Then his mother's just a few months later. Both of them with cancer, both of them too young. Then there are holiday bookings, airline tickets, out-of-dated foreign money, lists of medication, prescriptions, hospital appointment cards. "A whole life in a box," says Mam, as she lifts another envelope and opens it. "What's this?" she says to herself. "It's what I tell you," says Harry. He's wide awake. "It's the Great North Bloomin' Run." There are 4 skinny kids on a beach, 3 lads and a lass. The sun's blazing down. The lads are wearing baggy shorts and boots, and they've got vests slung over their bare shoulders. The lass is in a white dress, and she's wearing boots as well. They're all grinning and holding massive ice creams in their fists. "Pick us out," says Harry. We both point to the same lad. "That's Reet," he says. "And that one's Norman Wilkinson and Stanley Swift." He pauses as he looks. He touches the girl's face and smiles. She joined us at Felon. Veronica, her name was. He grins. It was took by Angelo Gabrielli, the ice cream maker. He keeps on grinning. It's South Shields, he says. South Shields, says Mam. Look, there's the pier in the haze. There's Tynemouth Castle in the distance. We peer closely. Oh, aye, we say. We run from Newcastle, says Harry. We just look at him. We were 11 years old, he says. It was 1938. We were young and daft and fit as fleas. He points to the envelope. Keep digging, Hinny. She takes out a sheet of paper. It crackles as she unfolds it. It's faded at the edges. The writing's all discoloured. Mam reads it out.